Hey coach, let me ask you something. If one of your clients came to you and said, I've been training 5 days a week for 6 months and nothing's changed, what's the first thing you'd ask? You'd ask, what are they actually doing in those sessions? And what are they doing the other 23 hours of the day, right? Because showing up isn't the same thing as training with intention. Now let me turn that mirror around. You've been posting, you've been creating, you've been showing up on social, maybe even publishing weekly on YouTube like I asked you to do. But the DMs aren't coming, so you aren't able to actually present your offer doc. And you're starting to wonder, will content even work for you? I don't think it's an effort problem, and I know it's not an algorithm problem. I think it's an exchange problem. Every piece of content you put out into the world is a transaction, and the viewer pays with something they can never get back: their attention and their time. Something specific, something that makes them better off for having stopped the scroll or clicked to watch. Most coaches, and I say this with love, are overcharging, not in dollars, but in attention cost. You're asking for way more than you're actually giving back, and the viewer feels it. They may not be able to name it, but they feel it and they move on. So today, I want to get tactical about what it actually looks like to create content that's worth the exchange. What makes content valuable enough to earn someone's attention, build their trust, and compound into a real relationship over time. This builds directly on the last 2 episodes. In episode 45, we talked about why you should be creating content: mastery, meaning, and then money, in that order. And last week in episode 46, we talked about why the reps matter more than trends, why your marketing is a craft that gets built through your iteration, quality reps, and not by watching what everyone else is doing. Today is the third piece. What goes into those reps that makes the content itself worth the exchange? Let's get into it. Every piece of content you create is an exchange. And once you see it that way, it changes how you look at everything you publish. The viewer gives their attention. That's the cost. And attention is expensive right now, more expensive than it's ever been. People are overwhelmed with content. Their feeds are infinite. They see thousands of coaches saying a version of the same thing. And every time they stop on your content, they are choosing you over everything else that's competing in that same moment. That's the real cost. And not everyone thinks about it that way. Here's what I see happening instead. A coach sits down to create content, and the first question in their heads, what do I want to say? Or worse, what should I post today? That question centers on you and not the viewer. And that's where the exchange starts to break down. So the content ends up being about what you want to talk about at whatever depth you feel comfortable, delivered at whatever pace you like to whoever happens to see it. And then when it doesn't convert, when nobody reaches out, when the views are low, when the engagement is flat or non-existent, the coach defaults to, I'm not good at content. But the exchange rate was off. The viewer attempted to pay with their attention and they didn't get enough back. Not enough specificity, not enough unique perspective, not enough proof that you can actually help them. Let me give you a practical example. Think about the last time you watched a YouTube video and bailed in the first 30 to 60 seconds. What happened? The creator spent 30 seconds telling you what they're about to talk about instead of just talking about it. They opened up with something generic and you thought, I've heard this before. Or the title said one thing and the content said something else, and the trust was immediately broken. That's overcharging. They asked for your attention, but didn't deliver fast enough or specifically enough to earn it. Now think about the last time you watched a 20-minute YouTube video and didn't even notice the time pass. What happened there? The person was specific. They were talking to you. They got to the point. They had a perspective you hadn't heard before. They gave you something you could actually use. That's a fair exchange. And that's exactly what we're building towards. So what actually makes content valuable enough to earn someone's attention? I teach this inside the OPEX method, and I want to share it here because I think it gives you a very clear diagnostic for every piece of content that you create. There are 6 things, and I don't want you to think of these as a checklist, but more as a filter, something to think through as you're outlining your content and definitely before you publish. The first one is the right value for the right person. You're creating content for your ideal client. If you need help defining your ideal client, go back to my episode on You Are Not the Niche, You Are the Niche's Hero. You're creating content for a very specific person and not for everyone. Creating for everyone is killing your exchange rate. When your content is for everyone, it's specific to no one, and they will not see the value. This is why I continue to hit you guys over the head with the coaching content signature. We solve this problem by using this framework. Your beliefs, your ideal clients' transformational topics, your unique delivery style. This is where it comes to life. When you know exactly who you're talking to, and you know exactly what problem you're solving for them, and you know how you think differently about that problem, now you can make something that makes that viewer feel like you're talking directly to them. And that one viewer tells their friend, you have to watch this video. That's worth more than 1,000 views from strangers who don't care or don't finish watching your video, right? The second one is being clear enough to earn the view. Your content has to communicate its value right after the scroll or before someone clicks. In your short form, that means the first 1 to 3 seconds. Those are the operating terms of the exchange. That's what says you're going to get what you want if you watch this. If your promise is vague, they won't click or they won't stop scrolling. If your promise is clear, but you don't deliver on it, they won't stay and they won't come back. So clarity isn't just about communication. It's how you build trust. You're setting the terms of the deal and then honoring them. The third, and this is a big one, is high value velocity. How fast you get to the thing that matters most. How fast the viewer goes from I'm watching this to I'm into this to I'm getting this. This is all about respecting the viewer's time, getting to the point and delivering the value they want. This connects to exactly what we talked about the last 2 weeks. This is you aiming for mastery. This is you maximizing your rate of iteration. That's you watching your game tape and committing to getting better with every video with all of these things in mind. That's you staying in the see, make, say creative loop and delivering with clarity and efficiency and more value video by video. Focusing on value velocity is your value velocity will improve with your aim toward mastery. And your aim to mastery is accomplished through the iterative reps. Okay, the fourth one. It's distinct enough to position your unique perspective. Here's the question to ask yourself. If I took my name off this piece of content, would the viewer know it was me or my unique thinking? If the answer is no, or we're not being consistent enough to remind people of your unique perspective. Your perspective is one of the most valuable things that this exchange offers. It's what connects them to you specifically. We know viewers can just go to chat or Google anything and get an AI answer. So the information alone is just not enough. They need your unique coaching lens to connect to you. In a mature market, that's where attention gets earned. When someone watches your content and they think, gosh, I've never thought about it that way. You just delivered massive value. And you did it by being a coach with a unique point of view. Okay, home stretch. We're almost there. The fifth one. Human enough to build connection. Trust gets built when someone can see your consistency and feel your energy, see that you care, see your passion, understand that you're genuinely invested in helping them, showing up with intention and realness over and over again. You know the difference, and you can feel it when you watch content. Your viewer can too. When you connect to someone that you watch, it's because they feel real. You feel like you know them. They're consistently in front of you, and they're always delivering value. And over time, they can trust that they're going to get when you consistently deliver this way. And your viewers know that every time you show up in their feed, they're going to gain something from it. When those reps are established, that's how trust is built. And yes, it takes time and a whole lot of energy, but that's your coaching content signature coming to life over and over again, doing its job. That's you following the see, make, say creative flow week over week, showing up, delivering over and over again. That's why your rhythm has to be sustainable. That's why I created the minimum viable marketing system, because I know you can sustain it. So be you, be consistent, show up with your viewer in mind, and always deliver them the value you know they want. And this leads me to the sixth and final one. Be consistent enough to compound over time. One great piece of content can be a good exchange, but one great piece of content doesn't build a business. What builds the business is the accumulated weight of showing up with fair exchanges week after week until the viewer has spent enough time with you, acquired their content minutes, and the trust in you and your ability becomes a fact. I introduced content minutes in episode 42. I'll link that below so you can watch that next, along with any of the other episodes mentioned. But with content minutes, remember, at 10 minutes, they're a stranger. At 300 minutes, the trust starts to shape. And at 500 minutes, they're ready to sign up. Every piece of content you create is either moving someone closer to that 300 and 500 minutes. Low value content doesn't just fail to move the needle in the content minutes ladder. it actually pushes people backwards. So if someone watches your content and feels like they wasted their time, you didn't just not earn trust. You likely lost them. It's a tough game we're playing now. Your consistency isn't just about showing up. It's about showing up with content that's worth the exchange every single time. To prove my point, I had a different episode planned for this week and I scrapped it. And I pulled this one together because I knew it was going to be more impactful for you. I had already recorded. I had already went through a soft edit. But when I did, I was like, you know what? This isn't good enough. This isn't delivering enough value. And I started over. When the exchange is worth it, that effort will create views that compound and earn content minutes. I want to connect this back to something I said in episode 45 about your aim for mastery. We have to stop creating content just to get clients and start creating content to become the coach that our future clients deserve. Today's episode is a tactical example of that idea. When you aim for mastery, when you care about being clear, when you care about delivering value at a high velocity, about being more specific, about being more useful, your exchange rate naturally improves. Your value velocity goes up because your thinking is sharper. Your perspective becomes more distinct. Your content becomes more specific because you've put in the reps and you're thinking with these filters. Your aim for mastery makes this exchange well beyond fair. And when the exchange is fair and the viewer genuinely gets something valuable, in return for their attention, content minutes accumulate, the trust compounds, and the business grows. It takes time and it takes you optimizing for the viewer. Every piece of content is a chance to coach someone. That's why I say coaching through your content, to help them, to give them something real. And when you approach it this way, you're in service of the viewer and they can feel it. The coaches who treat every piece of content with this level of care, who prepare, who think about the viewer's needs, who prepare, who iterate, who run all of their work through these filters, who deliver with clarity and intention. Those are the coaches who are building something that lasts. That's the mastery practice, and it shows. So here's what I want to leave you with this week. Before you publish your next piece of content, before you sit down to record, ask yourself, is this piece of content worth the exchange? Because you are asking for something. You're asking for someone's time. You're asking for someone's attention, their willingness to stop and listen to you over anyone else. And ultimately, you're asking for their trust. And if what you're offering them in return is vague or generic and not made specifically to meet their needs, then the exchange isn't fair and they'll feel it. And it moves quickly into the value. It carries your perspective and it's really you. Then the exchange is more than fair. It's generous. And generous content is the content that compounds and earns those content minutes. So let's stop overcharging our viewers and start over delivering. That's how we build influence. That's how we continue our aim for mastery. And that's how the business follows. Remember, I did create the 8-step marketing roadmap for you guys. It walks you through how to get started, what to do next, and how to build your marketing system. One that you can actually sustain, one that helps you build a business you actually want to live inside of. I'll link that video below so you can watch it next. If you want the graphic that I made that goes along with that video, just hit me on Instagram. I'll send it to you in the DMs. If you haven't created your coaching content signature yet and you want the GPT that I made for you, which is like you and I having a one-on-one consult, you're going through the steps in the GPT, also shoot me a DM on Instagram and I'll send that your way. And if you want real help from me and to do this alongside a small set of peer coaches inside the OPEX method mentorship, I hope you'll apply and join us in the next mentorship cohort because I love getting my hands dirty and working with coaches in a small group setting to really build this system. Also, last reminder, I did start doing monthly office hours. For anyone who listens to the show, all coaches are welcome. Bring any marketing questions that you have. They can be questions from the episodes or just any questions that are top of mind. It's literally a Zoom style meeting. We're just hanging out talking about marketing for an hour. You can find the link in my Instagram bio. I'll also drop it in the description below. If you have any questions, just shoot me a DM. I'm more than happy to answer them. Thanks for listening to Marketing for Fitness Coaches, the show that helps you make marketing a part of your practice and not a task that you avoid. I'm here to help you build every step of the way. If you found this episode helpful, I'd appreciate it if you share it with a coach friend. My mission is to help all coaches learn to love marketing the way I do, and I need your help to do that. Lastly, this show is part of the CoachRX podcast network, a collection of shows created by coaches who are committed to elevating the coaching conversation. I hope you'll check out all the shows produced by my peers. That's it for this week. Keep coaching, keep creating, and I will catch you next week with a new episode.